Okay, good to be back out on the field, I think, for everybody, for our coaches, for our players. Get rid of last week, like we've talked about. We're moving forward, but it's always good to get the pads on and get back out here and get to football. So I thought there were some good things today. Guys came out, started with 6 a.m. meetings this morning, ready to work, ready to get back on track.
What challenges does Cal bring to you on defense? Seems like they run a similar system. They have a lot of talent.
They do. I think they're very talented team in general in all three phases. A lot of high-profile recruits over the last 3-4 years. Some guys on defense that give you some issues in the front. You know, if you count 40 as being a down guy, with their front five, there's some pretty dominant players in there that give people a lot of issues last year, including us at times in the game last year. So, another complicated defense.
With regards to Matt, how do you coach making good decisions?
Well, we do that all the time, and he's one of the best in the world at it. And you have games like this. Peyton had one last night to start the game. So these things happen to the best of them, just like what I said on Sunday. And so he'll play great this week.
How do you help him? To get through.
Yeah, well, you're always looking at things as a coach as a way to do things better, help ourselves in protection different when we get into those situations again. So hopefully he can have some more time and he can set his feet better. So we always do that after games, with ways to improve.
He's kind of had to pull this. Pull this team up the last couple of years, but now it's different. How is it different for him?
Well, I think in a way it's the same too. You look out on the field. When he's out there on offense with Colin not out there, you don't have a lot of senior guys on offense. He's out there. With really Curtis, who's banged up in and out, really being the only senior that was out there in the huddle with him. So he still has to lead us, and he still has to try to rally him regardless of who's out there.
When a player says he or the team wasn't focused, is that a game day thing, or is it more of a preparation thing the week leading up to game day?
Yeah, Randall came in before I even saw that to say what he meant in that, and that he was just really down on himself. You guys can ask him about it. He was down on himself, and his frustrations came out. Not that it wasn't during the week that we weren't prepared, but at the same time, we always look at everything, try to find ways to do things better from coaches and players' standpoint.
How did you size up day one of the Walker Turk competition, and what are you looking for at that spot from those guys?
Well, probably too hard to make a judgment without going back to the film, but we're looking for finish, great effort. Guys are going to get beat, guys are going to drop balls, just like we told our team Sunday. You're going to make mistakes, but we won't tolerate lack of great effort. Not when you put on these jerseys that all these great players have won before, and so I think Andre's going to respond well to this.
Coach, have you gotten that bitter taste of that defeat out of your mouth right now?
No, I don't think that's possible until you play again. I joked yesterday, I kind of wish I was a baseball coach. So you just kind of lose, and you're 2-1, you got 159 left, and you go play the next day. So football's a different sport that way. You got to wait 7 days, and sometimes you got to wait a whole year to play that team again in college. You don't get them again like you do in the NFL. So it is what it is. We'll be excited to play Saturday.
Would Andre, is it solely effort or his performance factored in there at all?
Well, he actually had a pretty good first half, and then the second half, we didn't play as well as we'd like, performance-wise and effort-wise. And so, I think he'll do better this week.
A game like Saturday is kind of built for second guessing. Do you second guess yourself? Is there something you look back at and say, man, I wish I had?
Oh yeah, you better. If you don't, I don't think that you're a very good coach. If you just sit there and say, well, we'll just do the same things. The players need to make more plays. Like I already mentioned, you go to situations and you get to slow it down. The game's not. Unfortunately, you don't get to rewind the game why it's going. You're there in the middle of it, and so there's always things you better look at. I would have helped Andre out more. If I could slow it down and replay it again. You never know how games are going to go. You don't know how your defense is going to play. In games for sure. You don't know how your run game's going to go, and so every game's different throughout the game. And so, what I was really trying to do is I was trying to get it one more score in the third quarter. Trying to find a way to get it to 9 or 2 and get them in the open field to make it a 21-7 game, and then obviously we'd feel pretty good up 2 scores on the road like that. And unfortunately, we weren't able to do that.
Last year, Chris Calippo said that Zach Maynard was kind of telegraphed his passes a little bit before through. Have you seen improvement from him on film with doing that?
Yeah, I think Zach played his best game I've seen on film last Saturday. He played really well in a tough game. You go on the road, early kickoff, packed house there, good defense. So I think that you can tell that he's improved. They mentioned the first game for the beginning of it. responded and played really well.
Did you watch film of the Stanford game with your team, or did you did?
Oh yeah. We don't do that deal, but just move on. We got to learn from it and learn from our mistakes, and also point out good things too. We're not going to sit there and just slam all the negatives. There were some good things. We played really good defense at times. We played really good special teams at times. We're a kicker tripping us away from tying the game on a 100-yard kickoff return. So there's some good things to point out too.
On the picks, what did you tell Matt that he should have done?
Well, he knew it. Coming off, very unusual. That's why I said it, and I think he'll agree. I know he'll agree. You have a safety over the top. You don't throw fades into it. He's a million times he's made the right decision there, and that's what happens. That's going to happen to anybody, like I just talked about last night. It's going to happen to anybody when you start getting rushed and you're not protecting the guy the way you need to. It's going to happen. That's why you do what they did, which is try to get after the quarterback, hit him as hard as you can when he has the ball, when he doesn't, and it gets to a guy.
Was there a reason for coming out with a different starting defensive line in that game? Was it injury, or was it just something you saw from Stanford?
Well, it was both. Obviously, with JR not playing, and a very, very physical team that plays multiple linemen, that runs a lot of power game. We thought putting George out there at defenseman would help us, and playing Leonard more inside, and it did. It did help us.
How good was that? You were talking about that front seven all week. How good were they?
Yeah, they were really good. And I thought in the first half they were good. I thought in the second half they were great. They really, like a veteran, great defense does. They were able to turn it up in the second half. In the first half's kind of, there's some 4 or 5 yard runs in there, and we're moving the ball at times. It's 14 points, not as well as we'd like, but enough to win. And they did a great job, especially in the fourth quarter, really taking over, especially those seniors in the front seven.
Silas Smith talked in training camp and then also after the game the other night about when he gets a stinger and his arm goes numb, he drops the ball. How concerned are you about that?
I'm very concerned. It's happened twice now. And obviously taking care of the ball is very important to us, so we're looking at everything that we can. All right.
Oh, did you expect them to did they try to exploit Cyrus, you think, or take advantage of that?
Sure they did. They kept a nose arm a lot of the game. They ran a lot of cross-stick blitzes where Scobie would time it up and hit it on time. And like I said right after the game, I don't care who it is, that's a hard job for your first time really playing college football. And you got to go on the road against those guys, and we're not running the ball, so we're having to throw the ball a lot. And they did a really good job, no matter who it was. You're going to miss. In that game, people would argue that that's the most important person that you can miss in that game is Collard because of that scheme.
Did you try to mix up the snap counts or cadences in that game at any point?
Yeah, we did. Actually, one of the critical sacks when we're coming out there about the 20-yard line is on 2, and Cyrus snaps it on 1. Just things that happen. When the guy makes his first start, so he sacks it on 1, and our right guard and right tackle don't move because it's on 2, and the guy comes through and sacks us there. So we did try to change it up. Sometimes that helps you, sometimes it hurts you.
Would you tell Cyrus that?
Hang in there. Proud of the way that he competed, and that we're behind him.
Did you think Torrin Harris had his best game this season?
Well, he really basically only played a game and a half so far, so hard to compare, but Torrin can play better. He'd tell you the same thing. He gets beat on the touchdown, so another time they miss an overthrow on a go route, so he's still getting his feet down after missing a lot of time, and he'll play better this week. All right, thanks.